Imagine having a bad neighbor, a neighbor that makes noise all the time, a neighbor that plays loud music and he enters your apartment, a neighbor that smokes, and all the smells enter your apartment, putting you and your family's life in danger. Imagine a neighbor who stays upstairs and you are below his apartment and his children are playing football above your head. You could not complain. Imagine them disturbing you all the time. Imagine a neighbor who brings home different kind of people that when you see them, you will say, oh, this guy is a suspect. Imagine a neighbor who doesn't contribute to utility bills and delay the whole house. A neighbor who doesn't, let's say that you both are using a joint prepaid meter. You have brought your own money and he is delaying his own fee. Imagine a tenant who doesn't care at all. Imagine you have a tenant who beats his wife every time or who disrespects her husband every time. Your children are picking up from everything around them. Imagine that kind of neighbor who is violent. Now, imagine a good tenant that you guys can talk about business. You will go to work in the morning, come back at night, probably, or work from home, but very peaceful, not violent. Even if there's any issue between you guys, there is a matured way that he communicates it to you. There is a matured way that he tells you, guy, this is not right, this is not right. And you guys will settle it. A tenant that you both can network, you both can do business together, talk, chill together, drink. That's the kind of neighbor that you should look for, or pray for, or wish for. Landlords don't like a bad tenant. Landlords don't like a tenant that other neighbors will complain about. A bad tenant is worse than a bad sibling. Did you know that if you have a good tenant, he is more useful to you than even your best friend that is not staying close to you? Imagine there is an attack. The first person that comes to your rescue is your neighbor. Let's say there is a fire outbreak, or let's say there is a medical emergency. Maybe somebody just fell in your flat and you shouted, you called for help. The first person that will come to you is your neighbor. Imagine you now have a bad neighbor who doesn't care. So you need a good neighbor. That is why landlords screen before they admit a prospective tenant. So you need a good neighbor. That is why landlords screen before they admit a prospective tenant. You need a good neighbor. Getting a good neighbor is one of the things you should look for in getting a house. Real estate is for the realest.